You are welcome. This is Messiah Revelation Ministry, which focuses on end time events. I urge you to subscribe to the channel and share the videos to all the four corners of the earth. And today we are looking at obsession with Israel. I'm talking about the Evangelicals, the prophets who are so obsessed with Israel, Israel of 1948. And because of their obsession with Israel of 1948, they prophesy in the name of God, and their prophecies do not come to pass. So they are using the name of God to prophesy based upon their obsession with Israel. And as a result of that, their prophecies do not materialize, and they end up becoming false prophets. And this is what we are talking about. There was a leader in Central America, and I wouldn't mention the name of the country. He made a statement so close to United States but far away from God. The Central American leader was bemoaning the policy of Central American countries towards United States. They were almost worshiping the United States. They allowed the United States to cheat them, to bully them, and to dictate to them. And they value their close relationship with the United States. But they were far away from God. They were not worshiping God. The countries were far away from God. And so the leader, the president of that country said, oh, too close to United States, but far away from God. And this is what we see when we look at the prophets who are so obsessed with Israel of 1948, and they prophesy about Israel, and they prophesy about the whole world using Israel as their benchmark. And as a result, their prophecies do not come to pass, and they end up being false prophets. And this is what we are talking about. And we are talking about Israel of 1948 and the false prophecies that have come from the mouth of major evangelicals, particularly in the United States, that have not come to pass. We begin with the fact that Israel was established in 1948, and the pro-Israel preachers, some of them are Zionist Christians or Christian Zionists, and they preach about Israel being the apple of God's eye. They conclude that 1948 was the regathering of the children of God, and they also conclude that the Messiah would come, and based upon what happens to the nation of Israel. I'm talking about the Balfour declared state, 1948. I'm talking about the state that was brought to existence as a result of the collaboration between President Harry Truman, Rockefeller, and Lord Balfour, that established the state of Israel in 1948. The Evangelicals, I will mention Pastor John Hagee. They talk about 70 years, and Pastor John Hagee has said that in the life and history of the Jews, something major happens every 70 years. If you like, you can call it the 70-year cycle. And he makes a very powerful presentation about how certain events happen every 70 years in the life of the Jews, meaning the state of Israel. And they use the number 70 to make predictions. And the predictions normally are false. And so I'm going to look at some of those predictions, which is based upon their obsession with the 1948 state. The first prophecy, if I will call prophecy, their prophecy is that every 70 years something major happens with Israel or the Israelites. I'm not sure whether they are talking about the Ashkenazi Jews or they are talking about the original Israelites. I'm not sure, but they are saying that for every 70 years something major happens. And in 1948, the state of Israel was established, and they prophesied that 70 years from 1948, major things will happen to Israel and definitely to the whole world. What will happen in 70 years' time from 1948? Some of them said that there will be tribulation in Israel, and they rely on the Old Testament. They rely on the book of Jeremiah, where the children of God were sent into captivity for 70 years. And these prophets were also predicting or prophesying that we should wait for 70 years from 1948 and something will happen to Israel. And one of them, he's not an American, he's from India, Sadhu Sundar Sevaraj. He predicted that because 2017 is 70 years from 1948, there will be tribulation in Israel in the year 2017. He made a prediction 2017, 2018, 19, 20, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 2024 and 2025 is coming, and no tribulation happened in Israel. Is that a false prophecy? Per Deuteronomy 18:22, if you use the name of God to prophesy and it doesn't come true, that prophecy is a false prophecy. And so those evangelicals and the prophets who prophesy about end times, basing their prophecy on the 1948 state, they end up being false prophets. Their prophecy is that every 70 years, something major happens among Israel. So, 70 years from 1948, something is going to happen. And Sundar Sevaraj, the prophet from India, he's categorically said that he met the prophet Jeremiah, and the prophet Jeremiah told him that they should watch the captivity coming to Israel based upon the Jeremiah 70-year prophecy about captivity of Israel in Babylon. Sundar Sevaraj calculated 70 years from 1947. Unlike other American evangelicals who calculate 70 years from 1948, the year when Israel was established, Sadhu Sevaraj calculated 70 years from 1947. What's the difference between 1947 and 1948? The difference relates to when certain documents were initiated and when certain policies were made and when final documents were signed. So, in relation to Israel in 1947, political maneuvers had been made by United States and Great Britain with regard to Israel, and everything came to an end when, on May the 14th, 1948, the Jewish state was established. And so some people count 70 years from 1947, and other people count 70 years from 1948. So for Sadhu Sundar Sevaraj, the prophet from India, he counted 70 years from 1947, and he predicted that there will be tribulation in Israel, and he made it look like the prophet Jeremiah told him about it. No tribulation came in Israel in 2017. If you calculate 70 years from 1948, definitely you will see 2018. No tribulation came to Israel in 70 years' time from 1948. And so all those people who prophesy in the name of 1948 are false prophets, and they need to repent from false prophecy. Let's go to another prophecy which is very popular among American evangelicals, particularly white American evangelicals. And I'm saying white, not out of racism, but it's a fact, it's a factual assertion. They are talking about a theory. They talk about the fig tree. The Messiah talked about the fig tree, and they interpret the fig tree to be Israel of 1948. And when you see the fig tree blossoming, you know the end of the world is at hand. And so when you see the Jewish state established by Balfour and Rockefeller and Harry Truman in 1948, you know that is the fig tree and the end is near. And they go on to do another prophetic calculation, and their calculation is based upon the word generation. What is a generation? We remember the Messiah was speaking about the end times, and he said that some of you who are here, who are in this generation, you will not die. You will see the prophecies coming true. And the white evangelicals and YouTube preachers, a lot of them, I wouldn't want to mention them at this time, they say that a generation is 70 years. And so it means that the Messiah will come around that time. And so their calculation is based upon 70 years from 1948. Why 1948? 1948 was the time when the Jewish state was established in Palestine. And so they are saying that the rapture is coming because we are in the last generation. A generation is 70 years, and you need to count 70 years from 1948 because that is the birth date of Israel, the chosen of God, and it means that the Messiah is coming. Israel is the apple of God. Israel is God's prophetic calendar. So, one generation is 70 years. If you count from 1948, then we are in 2018, and we are the last generation. And so the rapture will come during that time. And I'm sure I cannot count the number of videos and commentaries that were made about the rapture coming within the generation, because we are the last generation. Let me hot and tell you that when anybody tells you the Messiah is coming soon, we are the last generation, believe him. Believe him, because the final trumpet has sounded. My problem is when they rely on their obsession with the 1948 state. And they conclusively prophesied that the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus Christ, will come in the last generation, and he will come within 70 years from 1948, counting from the day, the year when Israel was established. And so that is the obsession. No tribulation came 70 years after 1948 in Israel, and the Messiah did not come or has not come yet um, within the 70 years, the last generation that they are talking about. They are saying that generation is 70 years. The Messiah will come in 70 years. 70 years should be counted from 1948, and they make their prophecies based on that. And my brother Pat Robertson, who passed away, he made a false prophecy. Donald Trump will win 2020 elections because he is a Cyrus and God is going to use him in Israel. And immediately he wins the 2020 elections, there will be war in Israel, there will be war in the Middle East, and then the tribulation will come in. At the time of making this video, there has not been a tribulation in Israel 70 years from 1947, 70 years from 1948. No tribulation in Israel. Israel has not gone into captivity. There's something wrong with the 1948 theory or calculation. It's a political algebra. It's a prophetic arithmetic. When they calculate God's time and plans based upon a figure, 1948. They assume that 1948 was the time when the Lord gathered his chosen people, even though they are aware, or they should be aware, or they should have been aware that the children of Judah, the children of Jacob, Ephraim and Judah, they are still scattered to all the four corners of the earth. And as prophet, they should have known that Isaiah 11:11 says that it is the Messiah who will gather the outcasts of Israel and the dispersed of Judah from all the four corners of the earth. And so if they conclude that the children of God were gathered in 1948, they make a prophetic error and they use a wrong prophetic mathematics when they calculate from 1948 because of their obsession with the 1948 state. September 23. I said September 23, 2017. Something happened. We call it the Revelation 12 sign. I will not go into details. I will urge you to do your research about Revelation 12 sign. It happened in 2017. And if you do your mathematics, you can say 2017 is around 70 years from 1948 when the state of Israel was established. The Revelation 12 sign was an alarmment among the planets, and they concluded that it is the sign in Revelation 12 where Apostle John saw a woman clothed with the sun, the moon, stars under her feet. And they interpret that scripture to mean that the scripture is referring to Israel of 1948. And so when the sign appeared in the sky, September 23rd, 2017, they said, oh, 70 years from 1948. Now the Lord is giving us a sign. Revelation 12 sign. It means that the tribulation has started. It will start. And Prophet Sadhu Sundar Sevaraj from India calculated that the tribulation, 7-year tribulation, will start from 2017. And because it's 7 years, it will end in 2024. And when he said that, a lot of American evangelicals, I'm talking about white American evangelicals, they quoted Sadhu Sudha Severat and they said that, the 7-year tribulation has started, and it started when the Lord revealed Revelation 12 sign in 2017, and that sign relates to Israel. Which Israel? Israel of 1948. Obsession with Israel. So close to Israel, far away from truth, far away from true prophecies of God. Isaiah 55:11 says that the word that comes from the mouth of God, it will not go empty until it has accomplished the purpose for which it was sent. It's like snow falling from the sky. And so if you use the name of God to prophesy and it doesn't come true, you are a false prophet. Pat Robinson became a false prophet when he said that Trump will win 2020 elections, and when he said that there will be war in Israel, and then the tribulation will come, and then the Messiah will come. I'm sure he repented before he died. Otherwise, he died as a false prophet. He was so close to 1948 state of Israel, but far away from truth. And so he probably died with the lies in his prophecy. And some of the American evangelicals who wrongly prophesied about Trump in relation to being desirous for Israel, and when they prophesied he will win 2020 election and didn't come through, some of them were gentlemen, they apologized. Some of them, in shame, did not apologize and continued to deceive the watchmen and watchwomen who are waiting for the true Messiah and the time that is coming to rule the world and to judge the world. Our video is about obsession with the 1948 state and why that obsession leads to people prophesying falsely, making predictions and prophecies that are false. They are false because they don't come true. And they are false because those making the predictions are false prophets based upon Deuteronomy 18:22. So we are looking at those who induce prophecy. When a lady is in labor, um, induced labor, where the labor is not coming, and doctors have to induce the labor. And so there are some people who want to induce prophecy. They think prophecy has not come. The prophecy has delayed. They are far from God, so they don't know God's calendar. They don't know what is on God's calendar. And so they conclude using their carnal mind, their secular mind, and to conclude that prophecy has delayed, and so they have to induce the prophecy. And inducing prophecy means that making sure certain events happen, and so that you can say, yeah, yes, this thing happened because of Israel. I'm giving you one example. Pastor John Hagee, he said, every 70 years something spectacular happens to Israel. And so 1948, if you add 70 years, what do you get? You get 2018. But Pastor Hagee chose 1947 to do his calculations. And I'm sure there's a reason why some pastors use 1947 to do their prophetic calculations instead of 1948 when they are talking about Israel. I'm not sure. Probably there's some politics in the numbers 1947 and 1948. Pastor John Hagee said that every 70 years, something miraculous happens in the life of the state of Israel, the Jews. And, and so 2017, something will happen. Of course, when he said every 70 years something will happen, it means 2017, something will happen. And what happened in 2017 in Israel? A major thing happened. The United States made a decree. It was a presidential decree uh, or presidential declaration that U.S. embassy should be moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And it was a major event. All the news media in the world was talking about it. And so the prophecy has been fulfilled based upon John Hagee's 70-year cycle theory or prophecy or doctrine or pronouncement, if you want to call it that way. 2017, something major happened in the life of the 1948 state. For the first time in history, American president made a declaration that the embassy of America is now moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The prophecy happened. Was it a prophecy? Did something major happen within 70 years after 1947, after 1948? Of course, Pastor John Hagee will say yes. But Pastor John Hagee was instrumental in consulting and advising and encouraging President Trump to do something like that. And so Trump, succumbing to pressure from evangelicals, particularly American evangelicals, particularly pro 1948 American evangelicals, Trump succumbed and acquiesced to their pressure and went to Israel, and there was a public show. The embassy of the United States is now moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And who else was there? Who was beside President Trump? Pastor John Hagee. And later on, he said that he was instrumental in making sure that the United States will move American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And they chose 2017. They didn't choose 2016. Trump came to power 2016. They didn't choose 2016. Or definitely they chose 2017. I believe the first year in office. They didn't choose 2018. And they didn't wait. They wanted to enjoy the symbolism, and so that they will have it among their almanacs, among their chronicles, among their records, among their archives, that 2017, on or about that time, on or about the anniversary, the 70th anniversary of the founding of Israel, America moved her embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And that is very, very important for the Messiah. It means that it has paved the way for prophecy to be fulfilled. And they were expecting that the movement of America's embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem will trigger apocalyptic events that will bring the Messiah. Israel is God's clock. Israel is God's calendar. Israel is God's apple of God's eye. And that is what they did. And you can call it induced prophecy, inducing prophecy to be fulfilled, setting in motion certain emotions, events that will occur around 70 years of the anniversary of the founding of the 1948 state, in order to make a point that there's a 70-year cycle. Every 70 years, something happens in the life of the Jews. And here we go, 70 years from the founding of Israel, America moved her embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Of course, it was also done to cement the prophecy that they had made about Trump, that Trump is desirous, per chapter 45 of the book of Isaiah, where the prophet Isaiah prophesied King Cyrus, a Gentile king, 300 years before he was born, prophesying that the Gentile king will have the children of God. And American Evangelicals, so close to 1948 state, but far away from God, far away from prophetic truth, they said Trump is a Cyrus. And if Trump is a Cyrus, he has to show his Cyrus credentials. And one of the credentials is that his effigy will appear on a coin issued by the Sanhedrin in Israel. And they will have even a station named after him. And of course, he will triumphantly enter Israel and declare that today prophecy has been fulfilled. The embassy of United States of America is transferred now, is moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which is the eternal capital of the Jewish state, obsessed with the 1948 state, close to Israel but far away from truth, inducing prophecy. Here we are still on Israel. Israel is the apple of God's eye, is God's prophetic calendar, is the fig tree, and that is a prophetic mantra coming from the evangelicals in America, including and particularly Pastor John Hagee. He's a brilliant man, he's very eloquent, but he's obsessed with the 1948 state, and his prophecies are in question, they are in limbo, and that is the mistake that a lot of people make, because they prophesy in the name of God based upon their carnal minds and obsession and political lineage to the 1948 state. And so I watched a video where Pastor Hagee was being interviewed, and then he said that Israel should definitely obliterate. I don't know the meaning of the word obliterate. Obliterate means probably totally destroy, desolate. Obliterate Iran. Why? Because of the 1948 state. And the obliteration and destruction of Iran definitely will induce prophecy. It will trigger Ezekiel 38:39, where the prophet Ezekiel talks about an Ezekiel war where Iran and Russia will be packed. And so it is good for Israel to obliterate Iran in order for prophecy to be fulfilled. But who told Pastor John Hagee to say that if the 1948 state obliterates Iran, that will trigger prophecy of Ezekiel 38, Ezekiel 39? The title is clear. There are some prophets, there are some evangelicals. They are so close to the 1948 state, and they are far away from God. And the reason why their prophecies don't materialize is that they falsely assume that God gathered his chosen people in 1948. They falsely assume that everybody who is in Israel is the chosen of God. They falsely assume, unfortunately, and it's very, very unfortunate, that there are two countries in the world that matter, America and Israel. False assumption. And because of this false assumption, what they preach is about America, what they preach is about Israel, and their predictions are false. They are leading the world with their deception. And I'm warning you, Matthew 24, verse 4, let no man deceive you. Let no evangelical deceive you with obsession of any state, whether we're talking about 1928 state, 1938 state, 1948 state, 1776 state, or any other state. And the Lord is the Lord of the universe. His plans are known to him. He takes his own counsel. And the Messiah said, the day and time when he will come, nobody knows, not even the angels of God. And so beware of the false prophets who do political calculations and prophetic algebra using the numbers 1947, using the numbers 1948, using 70-year captivity to make false projections and predictions about the time and the year when the Messiah will come. It's a warning to you. Share this video. Close to Israel of 1948, but far away from God. Close to America, but far from God. I'm repeating the declaration of the leader of a Central American country who was so sad that he was a puppet of America, but he was far away from God. So he repented that he was so close to America, far away from God. Please be close to the Messiah. Be close to the Messiah. Don't be far away from God. When you are close to the Messiah and you know his word, nobody can deceive you. They cannot use their proximity to Israel to deceive you. The Messiah warned you. Luke 21:24. Jerusalem will be trodden by Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles. And the Gentiles, wherever they are deceiving you with numbers. 1948, 1947, 70, 70, 70. I rest my case. Thank you.